Welcome back and let us learn the movement of king. So of all the six type of chessmen in a game of chess, king is the most important of all. And that is the objective of playing the game, to defeat the other king, to like what is the idea how to win this war. It's through a word called check and mate, which I will describe it in the appropriate chapter. And for now, let us learn that king is the most important of all, though it might not be strongest. So this we learn from the movement of the king. How does it move? Well, it's very simple to remember. It moves only one square in any direction. So you can see here that its mobility is just one square. I can go to any of the square straight like a rook, standing or sleeping, and one square diagonally like a bishop or a queen. So here in this position you can see that king has a choice of moving to any of the 8 squares, either straight like a rook but only one square vertically or horizontally, or like a bishop or queen only one square diagonally. Unlike the 5 remaining chessmen, king cannot move as freely as he wants. So listed are some of the restrictions to the king's movement. The first one, the king is not allowed to move to a square directly near to his opposite king. Accordingly, both the kings are required to stand at least one square apart. This is like the position in front of you, wherein white cannot move his king to any of the square adjacent to the black square which are marked in red. That means he cannot move to any of this square. Of course, he can like go to any of the squares here, but not to like the square which I have marked in red. And similarly, like say in this position, if it is turn of black now, again then he has restriction. He cannot go to these 2 squares I have marked in red, means he cannot come nearer to the other king. Both are required to maintain a distance of minimum 1 square throughout the game. They are required to stand 1 square apart. So you can see this black king can now go to any of this square here, but like he is not allowed to come near. It's illegal. Both the kings cannot come near to each other. Then one more restriction, that is the second one, the king is not allowed to move to a square which is already in control of an enemy chessman. This is the position here is in front of you, where we can see the white king cannot move to any of the 3 squares which I have marked in red color, because these 3 squares are in control by the rook. Rook we know moves straight, vertically or horizontally. So therefore this rook is controlling this 3 square. It means if it is illegal for king to move to any of this square, it will be deemed as illegal. You cannot move onto this square. Of course, like computer will not allow me to move to any of these 3 squares. But say when like 2 players are playing, it is always possible that one player makes an illegal move. He will move his king, say in this position, to any of the 3 squares I have marked it red. And if your opponent does this, you should be in a position to immediately, understand that this is illegal and should be brought to the notice of the arbiter, or should tell player if you are playing a friendly game that you have made an illegal move. Similarly, for you also, you should remember that not to make an illegal move with the king. Play it correctly. Remember, both the kings, they stand 1 square apart, cannot come near to each other, and king can also not go to a square which is controlled by the enemy chessman. Coming to the capture with the king, again the restriction, the capturing zone of the king is limited to just 1 square, the same way as it moves. So here in this position, the black king now is attacking the 2 pawns of white, but cannot capture this pawn here, because you can see this, it's protected by that pawn, the other pawn. and we know that pawn, like captures one square diagonally. See this pawn here, which I have, marked in green, is protecting the pawn which is here on this h5 square, which I have marked it in red. So the black king can only capture this pawn which is standing on that g4 square and not the pawn on h5. So means, what does it mean? That like in the preceding example I have told you that king is not allowed to move to a square which is already in control of enemy chessman. This pawn here on h5 is under protection by this pawn on g4, and hence king cannot capture it. But of course he can very well capture this pawn on g4. So friends, this concludes our learning of the movement of all the pieces. We started with the lion pieces, that is rook, bishop and queen, and then we moved on to knight, the jumping piece, and then to the pawn, the weakest of all, and then finally the king. And with this you must have understood how they move, they capture, what are the powers they have been endowed with. And with this we conclude this learning part of all the 6 types of chessmen. Now I will be moving ahead to the next chapter, and that is chess notations. But bye for now.